cheaper rent or accommodation options here in New Zealand. That is our topic for today. New Zealand, Australia, just like every other developed country, as you guys know, accommodation is a very big deal. To the extent that if you are not guided or careful about it, you would spend all your money putting roof over your head and eating without saving anything. So in this video, I will be talking about cheaper accommodation options here in New Zealand, and I would also be sharing my personal story or experience how I was able to cut down costs on accommodation, and I would be discussing the advantage and disadvantages of any of those cheaper rent or accommodation options that we would be enumerating today. So to get you all started, I'm still your girl, Julia Chinelo, your out and about lady here in Australian continent. So if you are new here, smash on that subscription button and join my YouTube space. And if you are a returning subscriber, do not forget to use the comment section, give us thumb up, drop some beautiful comments. And if you want to let me know on any topic or something you are looking forward to have me discuss in this space in future, please put it down there. So getting started without wasting your data and your time, the first accommodation option, cheap accommodation option I'll be talking about today is homestay. Coming from my country, Nigeria, is not something that is very popular. So this is a type of accommodation arrangement where someone takes you in and get a room furnished, and you both will agree on weekly rent, of which the bills, your feeding will be included. And as at the time I'm making this video, I think is about, they usually charge from 280 New Zealand dollars for an adult weekly too, up to any amount depending on the amenities and the type of house and that sort of things, but at least a minimum of 280 New Zealand dollars. This type of accommodation, I consider it cheap, and I consider it a good move for a new immigrant here in New Zealand. Actually, my husband exploited it. He had 2 homestays before I came around. We went flatting, then before we started renting, from there we started settling. So what do I have to say about this cheap rent arrangement, homestay? The advantage to homestay is that it is instrumental to your settling down if you opt for this option, because most times the people that takes you in for this homestay are elderly people, mostly women. They are done training their children and their children no longer live with them. So is it that in most cases they need company, someone to be around the house, and also they might just need something to augment their pension, because living in the West is very expensive. So these are the reasons they often opt for this homestay arrangement, to get people in their home. So if you get a good person, they're often instrumental in getting you settled in, giving you first-hand information that you won't get from internet, that would help you integrate generally. And most times I've seen testimony, people getting their first job, which is vital, which is crucial to your settling from this homestay. The person they are staying with, during conversation, would be like, okay, try this, try that, or go here, or or like, I know this person, I worked here, and you just land yourself in your first job. And the second advantage to it is that you don't worry about bills, as everything is infused to the agreed weekly fee. You don't know how the bills is being paid. You just have your amenities and you enjoy it. The third advantage I would think about it is that it's furnished. the room that will be offered to you will be furnished, and in the house all the amenities and infrastructures you need will be in place. So you just move into the house, stay, live your life, and when you are done with the homestay, as simple as it is, you lift your luggage and you're off. So it keeps your property simple. You just, yeah, it makes you more like mobile, out and about whenever you want to move. And another advantage to it is that you don't have to worry about cooking, as your host will do the cooking. So let's go to the disadvantage now. I was talking about your host doing the cooking, right? But in most cases, arranged cooking or being fed option don't work for most people that are on strict diet. So if you're on strict diet, most times the food your host offer to you might not meet up to your nutritional requirements, and in some cases the food offered is not like your traditional food or something that you are used to. I could remember when the first homestay my husband did, he often talked to me on the phone that he's hungry after eating because the lady was so much into beetroot, 2 pieces, potato, and gravy meat, that sort of thing. And my husband, from our cultural background, he's quite a big eater, as you guys know. I eat too, and we are fast metabolizers, so those 2 slices of things on his plate, to him, is just an appetite. So he often gets snack in his room to augment, or sometimes he eats out to to deal with the hunger. Yeah, so it might not really work for you if you're on strict diet or if you're a big eater. So another disadvantage to it is that you might spend extra to augment with the feeding. Yeah, that's it, I've said it. So we'll go on to the second cheap rent option, which is flatting. Judging from where I'm coming from, flatting happens more in the big cities like Abuja, Lagos, but here is very common everywhere. People flat, yeah. You just get a flat, you sublet some rooms on agreement, you just get some flatmates, and often the bills can be included in your weekly pay or shared, but most times you prepare your meal if you are flattened. So that's an advantage to it, that you have the option of preparing your meal, eating what you want, and also you can get first class information if you are flattened with somebody that have stayed here for a long time, or if you're flattened with a local. So it's still beneficial for new immigrants to do flatten as an option. Yeah, so the going over to this advantage now, I find it quite exploitatory. Yeah, my experience with flatting, the guy that we did our first and only flatting with, I would say, lied to us. He got the 3-bedroom flat as at that time $360 weekly from the property agent, but lied to us that it was $420. So we paid a chunk of the rent, and before we could find out, we are already like 6 months into the flatting. But that didn't really offend me, because my being an African woman and using the kitchen, cooking my African meal as compared to what my flatmate was eating, which is mostly baked beans and toast, balanced everything out. So we still shared the electricity bill, so that would have probably augmented the chunk we paid off the weekly rent. So, and another disadvantage to it is you have to be thorough and accommodating, because you are going to be living with somebody from different cultural value, a total stranger to you. For example, if the person is untidy and you are someone that is very tidy, seeing the kitchen, the toilet, the lounge, or anywhere in the mess will sometimes piss you off, but you have to deal with it. So the third accommodation option I'll be talking about today is school hostels. This is one of the options available to students. Sometimes you could be lucky to get the school hostel option, though from my experience the space are often like small, like a cubicle, and is in short supply. So but if you're lucky to get it, the advantage attached to it is that it can save costs by reducing your commuting from the city to school or from somewhere to school. You can save off some money from transport, and also you'll be up to date to happenings in the campus. And if I'm to think of any disadvantage to it, is that it might limit your exploring the city or the country where you're studying, because you'll be more like living a triangular life from the campus to library then to your hostel. So that's the disadvantage to it that I would think of. So the fourth accommodation option we'll be talking about today is living in your car. Did I really say that? Yes. Was it a couple of years ago? I could not really remember. I bumped into a young man who was living in his car when I had to do a job that requires me waking up very early, because I started that job. I start at 7 a.m. So I noticed that this guy wakes up early to use the hub toilet and bedroom to get himself ready for the day. And one of the days we had conversation, I realized that he spent a lot, that he didn't have anything left, and the first job he got, he needed to have the requirement was that he needed to be driving, he needed to have a car. So he used the last money on him to get a cheap car. You know, cars here, you can get cars of 1,800 New Zealand dollars, $2,000, 2,500, just a fairly used car, yeah, that would serve you. So he got such car to get himself started. What he do is that he get himself ready every morning in the with the mall toilet and bathroom, and stay in the mall parking space, and he often repacks his car so that he doesn't get over parking ticket. This is how he coped for a couple of weeks or months before he could afford to flat with the job he was doing. And I could tell you now that the guy settled. He's settled now. But these are one of the things people go through when they migrate. It's difficult, especially with accommodation. And the last one we would talk about, but I won't be discussing it today, is renting. Of course, as you guys know, these four options I listed above would not suit some people, especially if you are coming with a big family. You can't do homestay, you cannot flat, and you cannot leave your big family in a school hostel, so you need to rent. So I will be doing another video to be talking about how you can rent a house, rent your first house as an immigrant here in New Zealand. And if buying a house is of interest, we would discuss that one too sometime in the future. Yep. So use the comment section, let me know what you guys think, and I'll hop onto it and answer your questions. Bye for now. See you guys in my next video.